Monday, Parshat Tetzaveh. We're going to continue in Ois Aleph in the Zera Shimshon to explain why and how these three things, Ner, Chodesh, and Shkulim, are being miramas, are hinting to the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu is not going to go into Eretz Yisroel, and why it was hard for him to understand the concept. So, first, as an introduction, the Zera Shimshon brings down all the Mefarshim and Midrashim and the Zohar that say it's because three things that Moshe Rabbeinu said and did, that's why and when the Eibishter was going to that he wasn't going to go into Eretz Yisrael. And the first one is when he said to the Eibishter, when the Hashem told him, go ahead and you go talk to Paroi and you take the Yidden out of Klal Yisrael, out of Mitzrayim. What did Moshe Rabbeinu say? Moshe Rabbeinu said, Shlach no biad tishlach. So send it with somebody else. He doesn't want to talk. And we know that Aaron HaKohen came with him. That was the first. The second time that Hashem was upset because Moshe Rabbeinu said something was when he said, Lama her ois ha'amazeh, why are you doing these bad things to this nation? And the third time was when Moshe Rabbeinu was makabel the Erev Rav as Yidden, and he took them out of Mitzrayim, and he caused that Klal Yisrael should make the Eigel, and then we know that they all died in the desert, in the Midbar, and the Yitzhahura came back, and so on and so forth. He continues to say that the chet of the Maimon River, we know, everybody feels that this is the one, and everybody sees this is because of this chet of the Maimon River that he hit the rock instead of speaking to the rock, is what caused him not to go into Eretz Yisrael. Says the Zera Shimshon that this is not the cause. This is only when Hashem promised. It says Lochain loy savi'i, and when it says Lochain, therefore it's a promise. It's a swearing. Hashem swore, and now, up until now, Moshe Rabbeinu was able to daven and be mispal that the desire, that the decree should be null and void. But now, when Hashem swore, now all the tefillas that we know when it says V'eschanan el Hashem, that the tefillas will not help. So, says the Zera Shimshon, why? Let's start with Chodesh, he says, because Chodesh, the Levuna, is the first one in Parshas Boy. So this is Chodesh. Why is Chodesh? Why was it hard for Moshe Rabbeinu to understand and to see when the new moon is going to come out, when the birth of the new moon? Because the moon represents the kingdom of Klal Yisrael. When Klal Yisrael was Malchus, when it was ruling, and they were the leaders and the rulers of the world. And that goes against, he says, Shlach no b'yad tishlach, go send it with somebody else. That I'm not going to be the one going and coming to speak to the king. All right. So therefore, what is he saying? The moon, he says, we know that it gets smaller and it gets bigger. It decreases and it increases as the beginning of the month it gets bigger and the end of the month it gets smaller. And that's just like Klal Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, when Eretz Yisrael is compared to a deer, that when there's a lot of people in Eretz Yisrael, the land gets bigger, just like the skin of the deer gets bigger when it gets bigger, and when they aren't in Eretz Yisrael, and when they are not leading and they were not doing what they're supposed to, then the land becomes smaller, just like the skin of a deer becomes smaller when it shrinks, when there's no flesh underneath it. And what he's saying is, Moshe Rabbeinu thought like this: I am taking Klal Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, we will always be leaders, and we will always be the rulers. So then, why is it that the moon is becoming smaller and bigger? It should be big the entire time. It should be in entirety. It should be full. Why is it getting smaller? That what Moshe Rabbeinu can understand. Why is it getting smaller? That's why the Eibishter was Megala to him that he's not going to go into Eretz Yisrael, because he also said Shlach no biat tishlach, that he doesn't want to go and speak to Paro and be the one to take them out of Mitzrayim. Menorah, Ner, Menorah. Why was the Menorah? What's the comparison of Menorah? Why is the Menorah goes for what? That goes for when he said, Lama her ois. Why is it bitter? It's bad. And he says like this as Shemshan. It says te'ose. Te'ose with a yid. Why is it with a yid? Because it says in the Medrash that Shlomo HaMelech made 10 menorahs. Why did he make 10 menorahs? Because since it says that he was the ruler of the upper worlds and also on this world, and everybody was under his rulership and leadership, so therefore there were 70 nations. In order to have 70 nations, he had 10 menorahs, each menorah with 7 lights, each one for one nation, and therefore it shows that he was in charge and he was going to be able to uh, rule over all 70 nations. So when Moshe Rabbeinu saw that he's only making one menorah, he said, why do I have to only make one menorah? I should be making 10 menorahs. Because I'm going to be going into Yisroel, I'm going to be taking Klal Yisroel in, and I'm going to be there, and the Beis Hamikdash is not going to be destroyed, and everything's going to be great. So we're going to be ruling, Klal Yisrael is going to be ruling over all 70 nations. So why am I only 7? It's only 7 because he only conquered the Sheva Imis, it says, only the 7 nations. And only afterwards Yeshua came and he killed the 31 kings. And then only afterwards, when Shlomo HaMelech became king, was he able to rule over all 70 nations. And this, when Moshe Rabbeinu heard that he only has to make one, he couldn't understand. Why should I have to make one? Again, only because it was alluding to the fact that he wasn't going to go into Eretz Yisrael. And the third thing was shkolim, when the Eibusha told him bring a machzis hashekel, only half of a shekel bring. When you're counting, the Jews only bring a half, which was mashma. He understood from there that the world isn't going to be complete, and the name of Hashem is not going to be complete. So why not? If I'm bringing them into Eretz Yisrael, the world is going to be complete, and Hashem is going to be complete because the Beis Hamikdash is always going to be. So the Eibusha showed him a coin of eish, of fire, that was a shekel, machzis hashekel, to show him that he's not going to go into Eretz Yisrael. And why isn't he going to Eretz Yisrael? Because that's negative the Erev Rav that he brought into Klal Yisrael, that he accepted. Because since the Erev Rav was the one that made the Eigel and made Klal Yisrael be over the Avodah Zarah, worship idols, so therefore it's not the name of Hashem is not whole after Klal Yisrael did that Aveira, and therefore it's coming also to show that Moshe Rabbeinu is not going to come into Eretz Yisrael. And that's why it says, Nechoshes ner chodesh kolam tir'eh va'ata tetzaveh. That it doesn't say Moshe Rabbeinu's name here. Because these 3 things, Moshe Rabbeinu knew that his Yitzias Neshama is going to be in Chitz L'Eretz, and it's going to be Ne'elam mi'en kol chai. No one is going to know where he is, and therefore his name is not mentioned after we see these 3 things, Ner Chodesh and Shkolim.